I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep him away. That's a nasty one. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Oh, my God. Fun was had by some, but not by all. Holy crap.
Small sampling there.
Small sampling. I mean, Chuck Schumer's a good sport. You know, he took it like a punching bag. No, but he has shown up for all of these. I mean, there are people who show up who are New Yorkers, basically, because it's a New York Central kind of thing, the Al Smith dinner. I think it goes back almost 60 years of.
There are those. And then there are presidential candidates who don't.
You know, it's astounding to me how she's playing this thing. I mean, it's just really, really astounding. Nobody could figure it out. It's a mystery of an enigma wrapped in a riddle. But there was somebody there who was apparently the Attorney General of New York. Explain there. She says, I'm going to put on a gown and I'm going to go over to Midtown and I'm going to go to this dinner. And Trump is the lead speaker and the lead person being feted. What is that? Is that the only thing we discussed it last night? The only thing I could think of is she's blowing with the political winds and feels that the president is coming back into power and is starting to suck up to presidential power.
Well, it's New York too, as you put it. Right, I mean, she's New York.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Adams is kind of busy, but he showed up.
Dude, it's just did Bragg show up? No, Alvin Bragg didn't show up. I don't think Bragg showed up. Yeah.
No, I don't think he did. But Eric Adams showed up. Trump even had some fun with it. But look at that. I mean, that is very interesting because I don't know if you know, Gaffigan suffered TDS pretty badly. Like just last year, he was railing against Trump on Rogan, etc. He shredded Kamala Harris.
Well, his wife was sitting next to him. I assume that's Mrs. Gaffigan sitting there the whole night.
He said that she was in the audience, but I'm not sure.
Okay, well, somebody was sitting. I thought it was his wife sitting next to her.
I'm not sure, but it was really interesting. James, the guy who's done our intro and does a lot of editing and things like that for us, came up with a pretty valid point. He said, perhaps Kamala Harris is a cure for TDS.
You know, it very well might be. They were talking to William Cohen, who was on Fox this afternoon, the former Secretary of Defense under Clinton. And they asked him about her offer to put a Republican in her administration. I just think she'll say anything. I don't give any of this stuff any.
Well, Liz Cheney's looking for work.
Liz Cheney could be looking for work. I mean, you have to win first to have an administration. So that's a stretch, you know. So Cohen was sucking up to it, going, yeah, it's a great idea. It should be a Republican of some gravitas, and it shouldn't be a show up job. It's got to be a real job and, real blah, 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 cabinet level appointment. But she'll say anything at this point. Who takes it seriously?
Oh, yeah. Well, Trump did cut deeply into one person.
And it's not Michael, that I can tell you. I'm surprised that Bill de Blasio was actually able to make it tonight, to be honest. He was a
Yeah.
terrible mayor. I don't give a shit if this is comedy or not. He was a terrible mayor.
Whoa!
He did a
Look at
horrible
Bloomberg.
job.
Is that Bloomberg in the front?
That's not comedy, by the way. That's fact. But unlike the rest of New York, at least Bill doesn't have to worry about the criminals. They owe him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, look at Schumer just sitting there ringside, the United States Senator from Brooklyn. I mean, oh my God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was a good time.
That's why she didn't show up, because she knew it was going to be awkward. She would never look presidential. Look what he looks like. This was another one of these events where he looks like he's the president again.
Well, and he pointed that out,
right? What?
No, he pointed it out. Did you see his whole thing? Because he said literally later on, he goes, "Hey, this isn't easy. Coming up here when half this room hates your guts."
I saw that.
And he goes, "Well, 70%." I like how he shifted the number.
He started to hedge it. But then he said, he said, when I'm president again, and I believe I will be, I think we're going to win this thing. He sounded totally certain that he was going to win. You know what I mean? And then he said, as president-elect, I'm going to end this war in Ukraine. He was definitive about that.
Well, and it's very possible. But I mean, okay, you saw what she sent in, right? And by the way, I didn't play it in the intro. I don't want to punish people too much. There's only so much cringe.
Yeah.
But she had Molly Shannon come in and do this routine. So she didn't even do her own comedy. She had somebody else do it. It felt
like.
What
do they work for her campaign or something? What's the deal with these people?
It's just a Saturday Night Live, whatever, former person. And I mean, it's so horrible. Even Gaffigan is just kind of like, the whole room's just quiet. Wow. Schumer's just going,
wow. I mean, I couldn't watch that. I couldn't watch that. I skipped that part.
Well, I was honestly, I watched it because I was in a state of shock.
Yeah. How bad was it?
It was bad.
Okay. I mean, that's good. That's good. That's really good. They deserve everything they get, these pieces of shit.
Absolutely. I mean, it was.
It was a part where Trump got serious. I don't know if you saw that part, where he said, "This is funny, but we got to talk seriously."
Yeah, and he said, "I didn't even want to do this, but they said I need to do it," and for sure.
And then he said they wrote these jokes for me, and some of them are not very funny. But some of them were very funny. Whoever wrote that, I'd like to have that job.
The babysitter one or the nanny one, it was like, he goes, "Oh, these stupid bastards, they wrote this." But it's still, come on, that one cut so deep.
Dude, that was dark. That was pretty dark.
But
it is New York. It is New York. I mean, what about the Cardinal's got to sit there and listen to all this blue humor? He's the Cardinal of New York, for Christ's sake.
Well, apparently the Cardinals are freaking pissed about her not showing up. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he was like, yeah, screw her.
Oh, the Cardinals. Yeah, I mean, Trump was talking about his sister who had a special relationship with a priest, and he donated a lot of money, and she donated a lot of money, and he didn't mention the priest's name, but it was somebody him and the Cardinal knew very well, and the Cardinal was nodding to him. He was talking about a priest that his sister loved.
Oh, that's cool. What was it?
His sister must be Catholic.
It could be. It could be.
He's Episcopal, I think.
Oh, Trump?
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, his daughter is now a Jew.
Right. But I think he's technically Episcopalian. I don't know.
Well, wait a minute. His pastor was Norman Vincent Peale. What was he?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he was a pastor for him.
Well, he saw him every week at church. So I just assumed that it was.
I thought he was Episcopalian. All I know is he's got Jewish grandchildren, and this guy who was the head of Hamas, who was killed by a drone. I don't know if you saw this. He's trying to hit the drone with a stick right before it eliminates him. One of the great moments in drone history.
Well, the drone didn't actually eliminate him. I think it was a tank later. It was like the drone, it was just saying, "Oh, he's here."
Right.
And then I think they just, fired into the building. But yeah.
Right. You know what? I'll tell you two things. One is the entire Middle East is completely gone radio silent about the Israeli offensive. And two, the Hamas morons who support Hamas here in the country have gone relatively silent. because the attack is now directed at Iran. And as I said last week, it's hard to be pro-Iranian versus Israel for a long period of time. A lot of the American non-religious pro-Hamas people have seemed to have either gone back to college or disappeared. They have very quiet, Eric, since the strategic offensive by Israel started a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I feel
have
like
you noticed that? Have you noticed a quiet?
Well, there was that. They took that guy out. Remember, Biden and Harris both said, "Don't go there. Don't go in there." And now you went in there and then took him out. But I feel like the tide turned with a Grim Beeper
Which one was
operation.
That?
Grim. I found out the name of it when all the beepers went off. They called it Grim Beeper.
That's
very
funny.
well named.
That's funny. Well, there was a blip afterwards that this was a war crime. And now I think that was their last hurrah on the left about this. And they don't want this to be a campaign issue. So they've kind of gone radio silent in the White House, which for some reason was lit up a dark red last night.
Rafa. I forgot the name. Sorry. But they didn't want him to go into Rafa. That's where they took out that guy.
Right. Well, they keep saying where they don't want them to go. They'll go wherever the hell they have to go. I mean, Now Iran is flying to Saudi Arabia to try to make a deal with the Saudis. Good luck with that. All they want out of the Saudis is that Israel not be able to fly over their airspace and melt Iran. And the Saudis are not going to go along with it because the Saudis have a deal with Israel. The Iranians are getting desperate at this point, and they've got 90 days left of desperation.
Oh, especially now. Did you check out the interview with Patrick Bet-David? It was fantastic. That one's excellent.
With who?
Trump was on with Patrick.
Oh, no, I didn't see it. I didn't see it yet.
Okay, that one was excellent. And one point of it, he talked about how he kept Iran at heel. And it wasn't only sanctions against Iran. I did not know this. He apparently told China, if you buy 1 barrel of oil from Iran, you're effed.
Yeah.
And they didn't, which just froze Iran so badly, and it had them so boxed. And now Iran's probably like, oh, shit. They're already, their battle readiness has to be severely degraded.
It started day one when Biden came in. It's going to end the day he leaves. I mean, you can almost set your watch to this, Eric. Their days are numbered. They're going to go back to their primeval level of oil revenue, and that's going to be until something else happens. I mean, if Trump could keep a lid on this, I think it'll end if the Israelis can keep their feet to the fire for the next 3 months.
Right.
Did you see her with Bret Baier, by the way?
Oh yeah, that's coming up.
Oh, I thought so. Oh my God. But for what it's worth, he's a totally nice guy, whether you like this guy or not. He's super polite. He kept saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. But you couldn't get a more politeness man as an anchor than Bret Baier.
This is true. And by the way, Bret Baier laid into Trump. So it's not like it was and it's like, it was funny because Trump had to take his words back a little bit because he was saying, she's going at Bret Baier. Bret Baier hates me. He's going to put kid gloves on her. He's not going to pressure her about anything. And he was wrong. Yeah. But I was talking to Leslie last night, and everybody bear with me for a minute because I was concerned about the manipulation Harris was doing in that interview. Early on, when she started to do her bullshit filibustering right out the gate, and then he's so limited on time. He's like, I'm just trying to get an answer. I got to move on. And I don't know how he could have done anything different. It was really difficult. And she's doing excuse me, you can't let me finish. You got to let me finish. And I'm like, they're going to milk this as the misogyny thing. Here he is, some guy talking over a woman. And I just hope that, conservative women that she's trying to flip or whatever, don't fall for her bullshit. So I even showed Leslie last night just to say, what do you think about it? I didn't give her any, bit about it. She's like, oh yeah, no, she's not answering and she's trying to manipulate things. So that made me feel a little bit better because I was very concerned about people falling for that bullshit.
Well, how long do you let her go before you interrupt? I mean, what is the misogynistic rule? 11 minutes, 19 minutes, 29 minutes, 3 minutes.
I know. And then she said, I'm beginning to answer. It's like you had 45 seconds.
I'm beginning to answer.
He wanted a number.
Right.
A number. It takes you approximately 4 seconds for a number. Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to say when she starts to play that misogyny card, you just say, ma'am, I can't allow you to filibuster these answers. We must move on. That's it. To drive a stake right into her heart. That's it. I can't allow you to filibuster.
I thought about it all day, and I thought of something later on. Obviously, I wouldn't have thought of it at the time, but it was Madam Vice President, you were a lawyer. You famously have said you're a prosecutor and all that. Isn't there something about not answering in a court?
That's interesting.
Well, I just think the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, one thing she did do, he kept asking her about illegal immigrants, how many you wanted the number, Eric, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Every time he said illegal immigrant, she said immigrant. Instead of correcting her, saying, no, I'm not talking about legal immigration, which he should have done. He said, I'm talking about illegal immigration, which he didn't do. He didn't do. I mean, it's a little bit inside the weeds, for him to do that. But a sharper guy,
I think he was working with that. He has crews waving at him. I'm going to give it to him. But you know what? I could tell you exactly how the interview was, Mark, because all of mainstream press has determined it. Testy.
How was it?
Testy. So that is the word.
The AI press? Is that the AI press?
Yeah, it's CNN, Business Insider, News Press Now, Newsmax, AP News.
What does Testy mean? Who was Testy? Her?
Because they had Testy
for the love of God.
But I always love that. It's like, okay, the memo came down. Here is the word to describe the interview.
Testy.
Now, I am going to go more with, I think this is a fair, brief representation of the interview. So, let's just watch a quick second.
Joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brad.
Thank you.
We'll see how this goes for you.
Mrs. Harris, how many people do you believe have crossed the borders? Miss Harris. Kamala, please. Mrs. Vice President, it's a simple question.
I'm speaking. Excuse me, I'm speaking.
I apologize.
Anyway, I think it's a fair.
That. Okay, I think we're good there. I think we get the gist of that one. Yeah, I mean, that was a sore spot for her, him trying to get the actual number. Look, I don't understand why there's so many ways to answer this, but denial of the existence of the universe may not be the proper way to answer these questions. There are so many ways to defer these questions gently. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, here, this is an actual sequence, and it is perfect on that.
Exhausted of Bret.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Come on,
Brett.
Come
what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that
best
over the last
moment
decade,
of the night. Last decade.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, frankly.
That's my
what
favorite.
Republicans on stage with her? What is she referring to?
Oh, because Liz Cheney was out marching around with her and Millie and dumbasses.
Right.
One of my favorite cues for her, though, as soon as she opens her mouth and says, "Let me be clear," that's as the variant of "I got to be honest with you," which means lying.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying that was the best pull quote of the night. Was I don't know what you're because I really don't know what you're talking about, you crazy bitch. What are you freaking talking about, lady?
I agree.
I mean, the guy was super nice, but what is he supposed to say? I don't know what you're talking about. You just said, you know what I'm talking about. No, I don't know what you're talking about. You're batshit crazy.
Well, she kept trying to co-opt him on different things. And by the way, one other thing that came up, because the most effective ad Trump has had against her, even Charlemagne the God, remember I played that clip, was talking about it, and it was the whole trans for surgery for prisoners. Okay, well, here is the illustrious person who got the trans surgery or whatever, all the medical stuff. This is the individual.
Skylar DeLeon is one of the most haunting figures I've ever interviewed. He was calm, matter of fact, as he spoke of the most horrible things. How he tied these poor people up in an anchor and threw them off the boat while they were still alive. It was just the worst thing I could ever think of. Should we walk away from this program, this interview?
Oh, 2020.
Yeah.
Knowing only that you cold-bloodedly killed 3 people?
No.
What else should we know?
Personally, I don't think I'm the person that they portrayed 100%. I mean, I think generally good person, just with a really bad decision.
What do you want?
I just had a bad.
Wait, what is this about? I'm sorry.
That individual, that guy right there you just saw, is who the Biden administration paid to give transgender surgery for. This individual.
Wait. But there's thousands of people who got the surgeries over the years.
No, it hasn't gone completely wide yet, as far as I know.
They've had hundreds here in California. I mean, it's been going on.
That's a state thing, dude. This is federal. He's federal.
Are you talking about in a federal prison?
Correct. Federal.
Okay.
That's the program she was supporting. She's also supporting for illegal aliens. But anyway, that particular individual took these people.
Wait, is he trans? Is he a girl?
Now, no. This is before he had it happen.
He's a man there. He's a man there.
Man there and transitioning to female.
Gotcha.
Later on. Anyway, this individual took this boat from these people, tied them to their own boat anchor, and threw them overboard.
I got that much, but how does he end up on 2020?
Because for whatever reason, I guess they were interviewing him probably because he was going to get the surgery because it's so important to him.
Okay, all right, that's interesting.
It is.
What did he drag them? He dragged them underwater across international state lines or something to get the federal beef.
Well, if he was out on the
maybe
water,
it was maritime. Yeah, you're right, maritime law.
Yeah, so that would by default be, I think, federal.
Dude, what's the deal with this posse comatose elimination of this new executive order for the intelligence department? Did you hear this? This just broke late last night that they can inflict mortal death on American citizens now from the intelligence community.
I don't know.
It's vague. It's just some order. It's just forming now. I just heard a little bit about it this morning.
Well, I heard about the Army being able to do things too.
This is from the intelligence community saying that this would be some sort of thing that they invoke. Not the Army. This was in the intelligence community. As far as I know, the story from this morning was an order from them.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not.
If anybody in the chat knows about this, let me know. I think it came out of the DOD, but I think it originated from intelligence.
Yeah, DOD. So that DOD would be military. It could be military intelligence, but I heard something about that.
It could be DIA. It could be DIA. Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't want to read into it too much because it could be a case like, if the National Guard were to.
Oh, no. This is way past that. This is way past that. And nobody could figure out why they would do it 3 weeks before the election. This is what they were accusing Trump of that he was going to do this.
Yeah, confession to production.
But they've done this 3 weeks before the election, almost thinking that Trump people are going to riot if they lose or something, or, we'll have to figure it out.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if the riots go the other way. But anyway,
of course they're going to go the other way. I mean, what Trump people are going to riot? They're going to stay home and knit a chicken.
Oh no, there'll be a few guns shot into the air probably and some fireworks. And I mean, let's be honest. All right, but before we get too far, I have some good news.
What?
We have a sponsor.
Oh, what is
America, listen up. The world is getting more predictable by the day. Political insanity, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of a new global health emergency. Did you know there's a bird flu summit coming in October? It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And get this, The first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the medical emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, amoxicillin, and even a Z-Pack. And it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Imagine this. No more frantic searches for a doctor. No more emergency waiting rooms. Just a few clicks, and this kit is delivered to your front door. In times like these, having your medical emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Head over to twchealth.com/Eric and use the code AUS to save $30. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. That's twchealth.com/Eric and use the code AUS to save $30 plus free shipping right now. All right. One thing really quickly before we get too deep in the show, Mark warned me ahead of time, but you all have to help me out too. Nobody is allowed to.
No, they can do whatever they can do whatever they want. But
okay. Well, let me make it clear. If you do a super chat that involves a score involved with the Dodgers game right now, I will.
Which I'm TiVoing. I'm trying to tell them not to put it up on the screen.
Correct. I will not be putting it up on the screen because it will ruin Mark's day, and he will.
Well, I can't do two things at once. I can't do the show and watch the game, so something's got to give. I've been out in the woods, for a week, living with wild animals and mountain lions up there in the hills. So it's been a rough week outside. Just got back this morning, but in that copy it says, I don't know if you realize it, in your copy it says the world is getting more and more predictable instead of unpredictable.
I don't know.
You may want to listen to that at the beginning. It says the world is getting more predictable.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to say unpredictable.
Maybe it is predictable because they're doing the pandemic.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was handed a script. I have to literally.
No, just look at it. Okay, maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
And there is a sponsor link in the description. Description, it should be. Let me double check it. But somebody pointed that out. Also today, somebody just DM'd on Twitter, not DM, but said on Twitter, on X, happy birthday, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, it is Oswald's birthday. It's funny. I just got, wow, this is kind of interesting. I just got a message from the hotel for the meetup in Boca with some tidbits here. She says, I have to touch base with her, but she said at 3:00 on election night, 3:00 that day, we're going to have a Red Reef poolside cash bar at the poolside to start off the event, and then a dinner buffet 5:30 to 6:30 inside the Misner room. I like it. It's a Misner. And this will include short rib beef, tender brave short ribs, seasoned to perfection, honey, the way you like it. Orange chicken, crispy chicken pieces tossed in a zesty orange glaze. You didn't know this.
No, I didn't know that, but I'm going to be doing the show. Everybody can be having a good time while we're sitting there trapped.
Yellow rice, seasoned hot vegetables, dinner rolls, garden salad, key lime pie, honey, coffee, tea, iced tea. And then the bar outside continues with Grobert going broke buying drinks. TV screen projector for your bro. I'll get back to her after the show. She's asked me some questions about the meetup, how we want to roll in. We could have the dinner earlier if you want, but
no, I mean, whatever. We're there to, work. And while we're on it, because somebody just said, wait, what? Link. Okay, let's talk. We have a meetup coming up in Boca Raton.
Right.
On election night. Those who have missed it so far.
That's the donkey with the red gloves on the left. That's the donkey. Correct. And the blue gloves is the elephant.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, there's only a couple of blue states there. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last week I said, who gives a shit about Maine? So some guy emailed and says, we don't give a shit about you, bro. We're Maine. I go, I just to be clear for the people suffering from autism or spectrum situations, I was referring to the lack of electoral votes. So I'm sorry that I have to explain this in really eloquent terms. I was referring to, I think it's 3 electoral votes up in Maine, which is why I said what I said. And Anyone who can construe that I don't give a shit about Maine should have their head examined.
Right. Essentially, if you're going to say compare Maine versus Arizona has 13 electoral votes.
Right.
Maine has 3. If you had to choose one of the two to win, you probably would want to win Arizona.
Right.
But Maine is a great place. I love Maine.
I like Maine. I mean,
I was there last year, went on a whale watching tour, went up and down the place. Beautiful state. Love that state.
Love Maine.
But for our event, AmericasUntoldStories.com.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, getting back to this.
We will be, Mark just described the dinner, what's going on with that. But essentially, it's a live show through much of the evening following the election and what is going on.
It's not following the election, it's during the election.
Well,
so we'll be following
the coverage,
it. Right.
Following the coverage of the election.
During the election itself, during election day and night.
Yes. And everybody be part of the show, part of the election, part of the festivities, part of the celebration, I hope.
We hope, yeah. This is a gamble, Eric. This is a big high wire act. We don't know. We can't guarantee victory at this point, obviously. I mean, nobody can.
Obviously not. Yeah.
Nobody could guarantee anything. But the point of the matter is we'd all be together come hella high water, which was also a great movie of a great bank robbery picture. Chris Pine. But the reality of it is we don't know what's going to happen, but at least we'll all be together. And if he wins some battleground states, some people will get drunk.
And yes, we will be live on YouTube, those who are asking. So
will you be live on YouTube? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a live.
Yeah, it's a regular show, but we're going to be having a meetup and massive election coverage in person in a hotel ballroom with celebrity guests and dinner and drinks and everything else that goes with it. Hopefully it's an early night, Eric.
I'm hoping. I mean, there will be some, definite signs, whether it's early or not. Like, a good example is, apparently Virginia's in play.
That's great.
I would argue that if Virginia goes, it's going to be an early night. If it
may take all night to count freaking Virginia. They're not going to just roll over the Democrats in Virginia. They're going to go for the long count.
But remember, the Virginia, it's got a Republican governor. It's got I don't think they're going to hold it up. If he wins it, it's there.
The RNC put out a statement. The RNC put out a statement. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying in Georgia, North Carolina, if he wins those 3, it's going to be pretty damn clear that where it's going.
The RNC put out a statement today that they should turn in their vote tallies early, county registrars. The opposite of what we've been saying for a year. Turn it in early so the other side can get the final number and somehow find the votes to top it. These people are schmucks. Look, I'm not a Republican. I'm a populist, but man, oh man, is this the stupidest political party in American history. It just continues to astound me. Now, clearly there's some rhinos who want to do nefarious things. But for every rhino, there's a retard in the Republican Party who has no idea what they're doing.
And they seem to get elected in high positions.
Yeah. It's just breathtaking how stupid they are.
I don't even know. It's so bad at times you wonder, is that an infiltration?
Yeah, you don't know. Are they infiltrated or are they retarded? I mean, it's just like, what is going on over there?
Yeah, good question. But by the way, we mentioned that it's Oswald's, birthday today. On the flip side of that, I think you have a story about this. Nelson Rockefeller's former aide.
No, I don't have a story about this.
Obituary.
What is this?
Oh, okay. Nelson Rockefeller's former aide writes her own obituary, which is very interesting. I think she is the one. Well, apparently she was the last one to see him alive. And what was it?
Is this his mistress?
I think so. Megan Ruth Marshak.
No, this is not the mistress.
She was 25 years old when he died of a heart attack in 1979. Details about his sudden death quickly changed over the course of the following days.
Right. What does that have to do with her, though?
Well, apparently she wrote in her own obituary that she wrote something about, I did whatever I did for love.
Oh, that's weird.
Or something like that.
I think that the woman who he was with, if this was his mistress, Is that a picture of her?
Yeah, that's
Or
her.
is that with Happy? Is that Happy? I think that's Happy.
Is that Happy? Oh,
yeah,
it
that's
is
his.
Happy.
That's his wife. That's his wife.
Okay, this is her then. I think
That's who he died with. He died
Maybe.
for that.
Hey, you had Monica Lewinsky. What do you want?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at this a little more closely. I don't know what the deal is. You're saying that in her, she pre-wrote her own obituary.
She did, and she died today.
And she said, "I did it for love." Maybe what happened?
I'm trying to find the quote. Hold on.
Okay.
I feel that's one love. Hold on. Okay, here we go. But I won't forget, can't regret what I did for love.
Interesting.
She ended with that lyric from the chorus line. And they were implying in the article that it says, was known for being present at his office during his fatal heart attack. Now, who would that be?
Okay, well, I guess she was the mistress then.
Yeah. That's
a weird story. I mean, everybody knew it was her when it happened because the security from Rockefeller Center, how convenient is it to be named Rockefeller and then die in your office in Rockefeller Center? You know what I mean? Like 911, what's the emergency? There's a guy here, Rockefeller, he's dead, had a heart attack. What's the location? Rockefeller Center. What's the numerical address? Rockefeller Center, you nitwit. Just get over there right now.
Abbott and Costello with the 911, right?
Yeah. The situation, as I recall it, is he was coming and going at the same time. So it was on his desk where the event had occurred, and she was beneath him and just went into full-blown panic, screaming and yelling, and he was laying on top of her dead.
Which I can actually understand.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is horrifying. That is really, really horrifying.
Yeah, it'd be like it could cause trauma. Like, are you ever going to want to get intimate with anybody ever again? Every time that happens.
She joined a nunnery after that. She went and became a nun. She moved to Vienna, Austria, and that's when the photo was taken, when she graduated from the nunnery.
It could be.
Completely. She looked like Hot Honey Harlow before that. Afterwards, she looked like a nun with bifocals.
People in the chat are saying that there's some hot pictures of her online.
Right. There are. Yeah, I don't remember that particular photo, but there were some pictures of her at the time.
You never know. That bad picture day, or maybe they put up the innocent looking picture to
That's
represent
the Bambi picture.
There you go. Anyway, I wanted. I saw that earlier. It's like, oh, I remember Mark talking about that a little.
Yeah, look, Nelson Rockefeller. He was a liberal Republican. Let me put it that way.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they were a lot more similar to what we see now. And while we're talking about bedfellows, we'll get right back to our illustrious candidate. I don't know if you saw this. Unearthed report reveals that powerful Harris ally willing to share resources from Black businesses with CCP.
Unearthed report revealed who was the ally?
Ron Busby, who is an extraordinary leader who exhibits courageous leadership.
In what area?
He's an ally of hers. This is him facing the camera. A delegation of New York government officials.
What is he sharing with them, by the way?
I am not sure.
There's always a Wong involved in these stories. You ever notice that? They go like David Wong was also present. He's the Interior Secretary of Business Development.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to be suspicious of Wong.
Well, apparently, he was just saying he's going to help them with the Black Voices when he was traveling to Beijing and Xi'an for a 10-day trip as part of the delegation of New York government officials and business leaders, including Andrew Cuomo's chief diversity officer, Rose Rodriguez. They were dubbed the New Majority Alliance. This is where you go for your business trip, Mark. Obviously, is you go to China.
Weird, totally weird.
That's
it's so funny. One guy was Frank Marshall, but another two Wongs don't make a white. But that's a good line. They had this Potemkin village set up for Paul Robeson, the Black opera singer, when he went over, he was a communist, an avowed communist, and same thing happened with Frank Marshall, who was the mentor to Barack Obama, especially with Paul Robeson, who they showed this phony civilization to in the Soviet Union, claiming there was no racism there, and there's a bunch of different black people who went over there in the 30s and 40s, who one of them who couldn't get out. Who wrote a book about it, was over there for 16, 17 years, couldn't get back to the United States, was kept as a prisoner because he just flipped out and said, this is all bullshit. But Robeson drank the Kool-Aid, so did Frank Marshall, who was Obama's mentor, being shown a different part of the Soviet Union that didn't really exist. Let me just put it that way. Okay. Which is what these guys are going to get from the Communist Chinese Party, over there.
Sure. Okay, we'll continue this story from Tuesday. We talked about it Tuesday. It's actually from the weekend. We've got the dispute between the sheriff and Vem Miller.
Oh my God! He tripled down, Eric.
Of course he did.
Okay. The guy Vem Miller, as he said with Roger Stone, that he was going to file a lawsuit as soon as the first day. Goes and files a lawsuit day one. This guy, the sheriff, then comes out with another press conference saying the fact that he filed the lawsuit so fast validates his belief that the entire thing was a setup by this guy to get in. No, you didn't hear this. The sheriff said this entire thing was premeditated by Vem Miller, tripling down with further defamation and slander of Vem Miller, saying bluntly to the press that he clearly intended to file a lawsuit before the event even happened. How else could he have filed the lawsuit that quickly, Eric? I swear to you, this is what the sheriff said, now in defense of a major lawsuit for $1 million against the sheriff and the sheriff's department of Riverside County.
Okay, so let me get it straight.
Wow.
Dumbass sheriff first said, I stopped an assassination. My people did.
That's right.
And it was absolutely real. I know, because of fake tags, fake imports. He was like Lee Harvey Oswald. He had multiple IDs, wallets all over the place, 20 jackets, all this stuff, right? And then when he was confronted with it, he doubled down and said, "Oh, absolutely, no, it was real. It was real."
That was the double down. That was the double down. This is the triple down.
No, but he's actually flipped, because he's changed the story from what you're saying to say, "Oh, no, the whole thing was set up so he could sue me."
Different story. It's a different storyline, but tripling down in his never-ending attacks. Forget about what the attack is. He's suing for defamation and slander. It doesn't matter if he calls you a whore or he calls you whatever the name. It's still the same thing. You know what I mean? He changes the tone and is now saying you set up the whole thing. I mean, that's crazy, Eric.
Which then means, okay, so sheriff, you then admit that Trump was never ever in danger.
Right.
Everything you said was incorrect.
Okay,
I mean,
Eric, how
up.
is he going to get around the fact that there are no fake passports? There's no fake license plate. I mean, this sheriff and the department better write him a check now, because of the fact that the county DA or the county city council of Riverside County is going to say this is indefensible in court. So they're going to try to settle out of court as quickly and humanly possible. I hope this guy doesn't just take the money and run. I hope he fights it out so he can thoroughly drive a stake through this guy.
Oh, no, great. Please
do not take the money.
Get the discovery. Get discovery.
Please,
release discovery.
You'll still get a bigger check if you go to trial than you will by taking this chump change thing for you to go away, bro. I mean, I don't think he's living that large, but please.
Oh, no, he's on the run. I saw that he's in hiding.
He's in hiding, really?
I saw something he put out that he was in hiding.
Why is he in hiding? What did he do?
Well, I don't know, because under threat by some people, I guess, or he feels under threat.
That's weird. Okay, well, he's a pretty well-known guy with a, I mean, he's got those film credits, and he's, has this on his website, and a bunch of people behind. but it's almost like a third party that they formed to have a slate of candidates. I don't know if you've been getting in the weeds on this thing, but he's been doing this for a while with a bunch of people behind him and money behind him in terms of a political candidacy slate in Vegas, Nevada, really, not just Vegas, but anyway, he's got a lot of stuff going on, so I don't know where he's hiding. But the point of that is he wasn't hiding on Monday when he went into court and filed a lawsuit against this sheriff and the county of Riverside. So more power to him, Eric.
No, I hope he gets them. And at a minimum, even if he doesn't go all the way trial, take it to the day before, get all the discovery and leak it. Put it out for everybody. Because
you'd like that, wouldn't you? You'd like that.
That's right. I mean, that's why a lot of these people go through the lawsuits. James O'Keefe. Think about it. It's like, sue me, please.
Why Did you see that Indian Google guy? You talk about O'Keefe. You see that new Indian Google guy?
Facebook guy.
Facebook guy. Meta guy. Meta, yeah. Holy crap. Just absolutely brazen, Eric. That's the guy that has to be subpoenaed. That guy there has to be indicted and have him flip on the others. That's where the Congress investigators have to go. I mean, does O'Keefe have to lay the breadcrumbs any closer to their door?
Well, I've said that the engineers.
Subpoena this guy. You'll have your guy. Make him flip and name names of everyone in the company that's doing this.
Well, and you know what? That might be doable now that O'Keefe has surfaced a name. Like,
yeah.
It's difficult, and I don't know the rules on that, but for Congress to say, I want you to send me your engineers. What do you say? Do you say, give me a list of all your engineers and I randomly pick it? I don't know.
He is constant. He is outed with names. One person. It's not the first guy he's done this with. No, I mean, this is like the sixth in the past year that he's gotten from social media who have said egregious things on film, and nothing has happened to them from the Congress of the United States.
I agree.
I'm saying start at the bottom. This is what I've said to you since day one. Start at the bottom with the engineers. Get this guy, threaten him, with election interference, which is clearly what he's a part of. Threaten and say it's 5 to 12 years in prison for what you did, or 5 to 8 years. If you're willing to cooperate, we can get you probation. How complicated is this?
Probation? Just tell us who told you to do it. I mean, if he's doing his part of the job, yeah. I mean, he could flip, roll him. Speaking of O'Keefe, this clip is out on his movie. This is very interesting. It's about some of the hotels in New York.
What are you doing here? I'm like, I'm looking for asylum, refugee status.
¿Tienes su documento de inmigración? No, lo que dije al señor que perdí todo en el camino entre Texas y Nueva York. No tengo nada.
Okay, ¿tiene un ID?
No tengo nada.
No tiene nada. And he was talking to, I guess, a supervisor. Yeah, just go ahead and register him.
Yes, register.
First day on the clock? Yeah.
Okay. Gracias.
The bottom line, because I'm going to go deep into it, he was just pointing out that, okay, in these centers, for refugees or migrants, he walked in there. This guy here is an undercover journalist. He just said, yeah, I lost all my stuff. Texas and New York. Don't have any ID. Don't have anything to prove who I am. Nothing else. And they said, oh, yeah, just register him. Bring him in.
Is this a hotel or a...
Yeah, it's one of these hotels in New York, but it gets even better. They talk about the fact that
can I shelter or a flight? Is that the guy?
Yeah, the guy talking is
with the white hair. With the white hair.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, and then they offer him, get this straight, do you want shelter or a flight? So they not only will let him stay there, but they'll also fly him anywhere in the country. Oh, you got family there? No problem. We'll pay for a plane trip.
This is the hotel doing this, or it's a refugee center?
It's the hotel in New York.
So he could book you a flight right from the hotel. That's gonna.
Well, this group is doing it. Whoever is, but this is the hotel.
Oh, this guy. Oh, this hotel. Yeah, there was another guy who went into this
Roosevelt,
hotel.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, there's another guy who went in there, a citizen journalist, a different guy who tried to do the same thing, and they had the military in there. And he said, "Why are you in here?" They were in uniform, Eric, with camouflage, with helmets. And he says, "What are you doing here?" And they said, "We don't have to answer that." And he's going, who's in charge of you people? Let me talk to someone in charge. And they just gave him the runaround, and he was asked to leave the hotel.
Exactly. And this is O'Keefe's movie, A Line in the Sand. If anybody wants to check it out.
We had a movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you put it all together. So I don't want to take his stuff away, but it's just, I'm just pointing it out, and that's pretty egregious. It's like, oh, no ID, no problem. We don't give a shit. And they obviously don't give a shit.
Wow.
And that just literally proves it. And as far as the guy you were talking about here with Meta, I do have
the Meta guy. Yeah. This is James O'Keefe, right?
The other one is too. They're both.
Oh, they both are.
That's why I brought it up.
This guy. Yeah, Jivan.
Yeah, he's the one you were talking
about. Like Kamala Harris is isn't unfit to be a president because he doesn't have a child. Okay. That kind of shit is automatically demoted.
Meet Jeevan Gowali, a senior software engineer at Meta.
Are they doing a good job protecting our democracy? Because I can see these like right-wing groups like setting up Instagram accounts or Facebook accounts for that matter, right? And just start posting disinformation, be like, Harris is like blah blah blah.
That's all going to be demoted 100%. The civic classifier is strong.
The senior.
Anyway, it's funny because O'Keefe called him, and he's holding his phone when he called the guy, and he goes, "Yeah, you talked to one of my reporters and all that," and the guy goes, "Oh, F." It's like,
that's good. That's pretty
funny. Good. And then O'Keefe goes, "Well, I guess the code is such and such." Oh, fuck. Anyway.
Well, he's a senior engineer. They have his name. They have election interference. They have all of this stuff right there in the video. Bring him in under oath, put that up on the screen, and just say, "Can you explain this?" And you're under oath. Remember, you're under oath here, and we'd like to know who ordered you to do it, like Eric said. And if you came up with it yourself, you're being charged with election interference. Yeah. You want to do the time or roll over on some of the bigger cats at the company? Because this bringing in Zuckerberg and these top guys, they just bullshit in circles. They may not even know anything. Zuckerberg may not even know about this.
100%. Now, on the flip side, because O'Keefe has been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this for 2009, 2010 Acorn days, and a lot of backing, etc. Be careful what you follow and what you repeat on X. There was a story going out about Tim Walz. Mark and I briefly heard about it, but we even said, "Yeah, there's some sketchy stuff with that. Don't follow that." Yeah. Well, it's not good. Anyway, the account that created this essentially put this out, had put out another account about the ABC insider, and the ABC, whistleblower. Well, that story is bullshit too. Mike Johnson said that he never received anything from any whistleblower. The documents were all proven out and things like that. There's speculation going on now that was a limited hangout count and a nice little honey trap to get everybody to start repeating a bullshit message. So I'm just saying, be really, really careful. It's easy to fall into it. And I know I'm tempted. I'm like, oh, wait, what's going on there? Especially when you see somebody who gives off the vibes that they're really, really gross or creepy.
What are you trying to say? What are you saying? You're saying Waltz gives off a creepy vibe?
You said it.
I didn't say it. I was just repeating what you said. I mean, he's the governor of the state. I like to see him go hunting with Paulus, the governor from Colorado, the two of them. I like to see those guys out in the hunting for something out in the woods.
Only if I can add one other person.
Who would you put in?
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney. Oh, there's a joke, right? Dick Cheney, Governor Paulus, and Governor Walz went hunting.
Who came out? Dick Cheney comes out,
right?
but the other
Dick Cheney comes out and says, "I shot them both in the face." Not.
Oh God. Anyway, we can't show this video, but we've been talking about what's going on in Colorado, and Trump has as well. People are ignoring it.
Oh, this!
But there's again, we can't show it as YouTube.
Oh my God!
It is really bad.
This is the same gang. This is Okay, so there was a limited hangout by who was it? It wasn't the governor of Colorado. It was somebody related to Colorado saying, oh, it was what's her name? Martha Raddatz from ABC News, who said to J.D. Vance when she was interviewing him that there's only been limited examples of this gang taking over X amount of apartment buildings in Aurora. Like she said, they've only taken over a few apartment buildings. And Vance goes, do you hear what you're saying, lady? I mean, he couldn't believe what she was saying, that it was only a few buildings they took over as gangs. But apparently they took over this one.
Well, it's kind of like what the Chopper Chaz zone in 2020. It was only a few blocks of a city.
Right.
Or that psycho we just heard when he said, well, I'm relatively a good guy. I just have some bad moments.
Yeah. Well, this guy here gets his face. Just to sum up the story, you can't show the video, but this is the corporate manager of the building coming to collect the rent. And they offered him a bribe of $500 to take over a couple of the apartments that they could then control and charge rent and move in people. And he refused. And they pulverized the guy. Absolutely. I don't know if you can show the photo of just his face, which is not the video, Eric. If you scroll down, you'll see a photo of him in his own car as he escaped afterwards. I think that would. This is the building manager, the corporate management. Not the building manager, but the corporate management of the building, who showed up and refused a bribe from the gang in Aurora, Colorado, that came across in Kamala Harris's watch, that she refuses to acknowledge even exists in her parallel universe campaign that's going nowhere.
Well, maybe they're just reading the same memo that David Muir did when he was fact-checking Trump during the debate about the crime data, that, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Trump was right.
Yeah. But look, so what? Look, you're right. I thought the same thing as you.
FBI just quietly let me, let's take the light out. Oh, okay. Here we go. You know what? You know who else is doing this, Mark?
Who?
Have you noticed the polls? Like, how is it in like a week's time, all of a sudden polls are correcting to where Kamala Harris has a 7-point lead, and so boom, that disappears by 7 points. Like a margin of 7. The other ones have been showing a trend for Trump. Yeah. Other ones are like just suddenly getting these quick snap corrections.
Well, to give you the numbers on this that Eric was going to give you, that crime was down nationally 2.5%. The real numbers came out by the FBI, and it's up almost 5%. Yeah, almost 5%. And the murders that they left out were like 16. How many murders did they leave out? Does it say that, Eric, over there?
Well, the raw number is 1,256,671.
Yeah, but there was X amount that they actually left out of the murder statistics. Anyway, so David Muir is apparently hip to this, and Trump was absolutely correct. But the fact of the matter is, he was so lightning fast, Eric. In that debate, Muir, with this number from the FBI, as to make the whole response suspect.
Well, it makes the statistics suspect. That they
but the statistics were quietly they came out a couple of weeks before and were suspect, but his response was so fast on Trump, didn't even finish the sentence, and he was on top of him, and of course wrong.
Now, in fairness to him, saying that if Trump has been stating that statistic in campaign appearances over and over and over, or at rallies, then they probably do have a fact, a cue sheet on hand of, especially because they were planning that, that they were going to jump on Trump.
Well, I don't know if they knew he was going to bring up the crime statistics, but
no, but I'm sure they have a laundry list of facts that Trump talks about, or Trump talking points.
Right. In Trump's talking points and other people's talking points, not Trump, regular pundits were talking about the fact that they left out New York and LA in their statistics months before. Months before. This was not something abrupt that Trump discovered. Trump was just feeding off of it. Many right-wing conservative pundits realized early on that to get their number, they needed to leave out New York and LA, which people called them out on. So Trump, being Trump, said these numbers are really higher, that they left out the cities, and now he's been vindicated.
Well, sort of. I mean, we see it. The New York Post sees it, but I'm sure that I'm sure David Muir on ABC Nightly News went out and said, during the debate, I made an improper correction. I'm sure he came right out and said that. Right?
He didn't say anything to me on 2020, by the way. When I was on the show 2 weeks ago, he didn't say a goddamn thing to me.
No. As a matter of fact, you never. I'm guessing you never exchanged a single word with him, ever.
He was bitter. He was just bitter. I think he knew who I supported. He was a bitter ball. I didn't really want to talk to him, but I would have if he said anything.
No. About that case,
he's a
sure.
bitter ball of bitterness.
Yep. Speaking of bitterness, I don't know if it's bitter, but the Menendez brothers.
Oh, again with these, bro. What is going on now?
Appears that their family is calling for them to be resentenced. I guess there's a lot of movement. As you said, there must have been a movie or, there's some documentaries.
Yeah, there's the
coming out
Netflix documentary, and all of this is money that comes out as part of the promotional campaign of an intellectual property. Let me put it that way. I don't think this family is protesting too much because the mother and father were murdered by them, for Christ's sakes. Who are these people?
Let me see. That is family members, I guess. Aunts, uncles.
What's left of the family?
I was getting to the mother and father aren't complaining. You are correct.
Right. They're the last ones to ask.
Yeah, well, they are for sure.
Well, speaking of the Menendez, the father handled a bunch of boy bands, and he may have handled the boy band of somebody named Liam.
Yeah, the One Direction dude.
Yeah, I think his father, the Menendez father, may have handled that band.
I don't think so, because I think the band formed in 2008 and the father's dead in 92.
Right. Okay. It didn't overlap. But nevertheless, trouble in Buenos Aires.
Yes, it appears. I don't want to, judge it too far, because I guess the guy had some issues too. Now, people wrote me saying there's conspiracy there, but it is possible. I guess the guy had ideations even back in 2016 in the band, might have had a substance abuse problem, might have, other things. So
I don't know how you fall off a third floor balcony and die. That's my question. And rock and roll is a little tougher. I don't think a third floor balcony would have killed Jim Morrison.
That may be. Depends on the surface.
Yeah, there was a lot of bushes. They look like bushes and all kinds of stuff over there. I looked at the outside of the building, but he was on everything. I mean, he destroyed his room and went crazy and had restraining orders against him. And probably, but you don't run and jump out the window of a third floor balcony if that's your plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you would take a higher. Can I have the penthouse? I have some plans today I want to deal with. All we have is the third floor. Sorry, Mr. Liam. All we have is the third. Well, come on. I got some stuff to do. Well, it's a beautiful room. What difference does it make? No, it matters to me. I got things I got to do. I don't want to get into it. What about the 18th floor? There's a big hotel. You got the 18th floor? Well, I'm sorry. That's occupied. There's a Rolling Stone thing up there. I'm not really know. Okay, I'll take the third floor. I'll do the best I can.
Are you? I can't believe. Are you one who subscribes that you won't go above the 13th floor or whatever? There's a certain height.
No. I am of the school. Whether I live or go in a hotel, I have to be on the top floor, so I can pancake and crush everyone below me in the event of an earthquake.
Oh, okay. Because
that's just my personal thing. It's a personal peccadillo of mine.
I know that there is another philosophy of some people, like the ladders from the fire trucks or whatever can only reach X height, and they will always stay at a floor level to. I
never heard that. Never heard that one. I know the earthquake one. I lived on the 6th floor, even here in LA. I lived on the 6th floor of a 6th floor building, and the guy said, "Why do you want the 6th floor?" And I told him, and he laughed. A month later, there was a major shaker, and the building manager moved in a second to the door next to me, the apartment next to mine. And he said, "It makes sense, bro." And I said, "Look, I just want to crush everyone below me instead of having everyone above me crush me." And he laughed in my face. And then 3 months later, he was living next door.
All right, folks, I don't know what the floor number. Everybody's like, there is no 13th floor. It's like, I just threw a number out. But there's a certain floor height, I believe, that the ladders can actually reach. I don't know what it is.
That's probably true. That's probably.
I'm waiting for the chat to let me know. They're still arguing about the 13th
dog
floor.
on the top of the pyramid, by the way?
I saw it glanced at.
How did that dog get up there? I don't understand. He was chasing a
Bill?
bird, and he just ran up the side of the pyramid.
Why not? I mean, they have dogs.
Oh, those rams! They have those the goats.
Well, they have like a duck that runs a marathon with people. You know, animals are funny. I mean, they just randomly do whatever they're going to do. Somebody's saying 7th floor. Okay. And then 2 to 5 stories. Cool. Okay. PBD, you didn't see the interview, but I thought you might find I have a clip from that.
Okay,
that was kind of interesting.
And Tim Cook called me up directly, and he did it himself. Didn't have to pay 10 cents, and I gave him 100% of what he wanted because he was right. I mean, you can't compete with Samsung, and one's paying a tax. But I said, you got to gradually move your company here. But then 3 hours ago, he called me. He said, I'd like to talk to you about something. What? He said, the European Union has just fined us $15 billion. I said, that's a lot. I know the feeling because I get fined too in fake cases, but I don't know if his case is fake yet, but it's a lot. Then on top of that, they got fined by the European Union another $2 billion. So he's a $17 to $18 billion fine. I even said about Apple, can you pay that? I mean, do you have that guy? That's a lot of money. And
he's talking about Tim Cook, Eric?
That was interesting. He said they're using that to run their enterprise, meaning Europe is their enterprise. And I said, that's a lot. He said, but Tim, I got to get elected first. But I'm not going to let them take advantage of our companies. That won't, be happening.
I thought that was really interesting. Again, the interview was excellent. I haven't been able to watch every interview he's done, but he spent almost 90 minutes with Patrick Bet-David.
Okay, I just want to say that Tim Cook was at the secret billionaires meeting in Bel Air that Trump had 7 or 8 months ago here in California. Elon Musk was there. Peter Thiel was there. It was a secret meeting of all the billionaires who may or may not have been. It wasn't a donors thing. It was an ideological meeting of how to handle what's going on and who was in, who didn't want in, and who didn't want to be part of this thing. And I remember seeing that Tim Cook was there. And Tim Cook came out and said, I don't agree with Trump or whatever, but maybe he does now. Maybe his ox is getting gored enough.
Well, apparently, yes and no. I mean, Tim Cook's about as woke of a company as you can imagine, and he's a gay CEO.
Yeah.
But
he's a gay CEO.
Gay CEO.
Gay CEO. A gay CEO.
Yes, that. Exactly.
Right.
That's it rolls off the tongue. Apparently, like he's been quoted, why do you talk to Trump? This is years back, and he said he's the only one who's ever called me. And Trump was talking about his relationship with Tim Cook, saying that, Tim Cook actually calls him directly. He doesn't send somebody, and Trump said, they all send somebody. They're like, oh, they've got these lobbyist firms. He said, no, Tim Cook will call me.
Well, maybe he's closer than we think. Maybe.
Well, yeah, apparently he was talking about it early on because this stemmed out of some of the tariff talk.
Yeah.
But Tim Cook was saying, hey, you got to help me out here because you're tariffing me 25% on my phones coming out of China.
No.
And I can't compete with Samsung, who's coming out of Korea. They're a Korean company because you don't have tariffs with them. And I can't compete with that. And that's where he said, you're right. I agree with you. And so he gave him a waiver for 1 year on the grounds that Tim Cook was bringing Apple into the U.S. to build products. And they did create the manufacturing facility that creates their Mac Pros, which is, the smallest amount of computers that they sell, but it still was a start. And as Trump said, if he got reelected, there probably would have been more and more and more because there was a time limit on some of these.
Well, what other people have said, and even this morning on CNBC, they were talking about the fact that the tariffs are a tool and he uses it as a negotiation ploy, the tariffs, and he says it could be 100% tariff, 400%. What difference does it make? I'm not going to put that insane tariff on a product anyway. He uses it as a weapon or a hammer, Eric, right?
He went deep into that. Actually, it was fantastic in the interview because he talked about tariffs. He goes, tariffs. I love tariffs. He said, it's the most beautiful word in the language. I like it better than love. But he was talking about, I did not know this. Apparently, China was building a car manufacturing facility in Mexico.
I heard this.
In the entire world.
Yeah.
And a couple months back, Trump started going off saying, if you do this, I will put 100, even 200% tariff on any car. I will not let a single car come out of Mexico.
They're terrified of him. They're terrified. They're terrified. They're terrified. You can use that word. Terrified. Nice. I just made that up. Don't try to use it out of 10.
Nice portmanteau.
You like that?
Absolutely. Anyway, and they stopped that plant. So, and
it's a weapon. It's a hammer, right, Eric?
Well, it's not only hammer. I did not know this. I heard recently, I think it was Trump, I don't even remember anymore, but apparently during the Marshall Plan, post-World War II, Marshall Plan, so we're talking 75, 80 years, to rebuild Germany, rebuild Japan, rebuild Europe, they allowed them to put tariffs on us, and we had no tariffs on them.
Oh,
it never stopped.
Okay. Oh, my God.
And so a lot of what he's doing is just saying, screw that. We've got to go back to the table here because Japan's doing fine. They're doing great with their cars coming in the country. And by putting the tariffs on, then they have to come to the table and say, okay, well, hold on. We need to be able to sell our stuff there. And then they take the tariffs down.
Well, I think he should turn off the spigot of money to NATO and create his own NATO with a new, different alliance of nations. Forget about those. Drive a stake through it, kill it. Don't put any money into it. Cherry pick the countries you want for a new NATO. And that could be South Korea. That could be Japan. That could be people who want to get in on it and are willing to pay top dollar to get in on this alignment. I think you have to finally drive a stake through NATO's heart and be done with it. Let them pay for their own defense.
I guess I disagree to a point, but it's in a different way. I don't want to rebuild a new NATO because I don't like being beholden where if one of them gets attacked, we automatically go.
No, I'm not saying you don't have to have that in there. That's from the old NATO. Who wants to put that in there? What I'm saying is
we don't even need it. We just have a nice
partnership. It's a military alignment of like nations, and you don't have to put that at Article 5 in there, bro. What I'm saying is this group is no longer. You want to go to war with Turkey, Eric? Let me ask you, bro. Israel gets attacked by Turkey. You want to defend Turkey?
But that's my point. I don't think we should have NATO, but I don't want to replace it with anything either.
I want to replace it with something. That's where I'm me and you're you.
Exactly.
I want to replace it with
you're wrong and I'm right. That's cool.
I don't know about that. What I'm saying is I want to replace it with nations that are beholden to us, not nations that hate our fucking guts like these European nations or hate our allies' guts like NATO, like Turkey. You know what I'm saying? Right. And are willing to pay their fair share. It's like a 5-point program I've created.
Okay. Well, we agree on the first part. We just don't agree on the second.
Well, there's a lot of other details.
We'll do the first half, and then we can hash out the second.
There's a lot of details that I have worked out on this plan, which I'm not revealing here for secrecy reasons. But nevertheless, the entire world now is happy that Israel is saving democracy for the people who are not willing to fight these savages. Israel's doing the bidding of the Western allies, to be as blunt as humanly possible.
Oh, sure.
And I'm not the one saying this. A lot of Western media is saying the same thing.
100%. And are they in NATO?
No, that's my point. They should
so
be.
We don't need it.
Forget about the name NATO. Forget about that name. That's dead. Whatever you come up with a name is a separate issue of branding that I'm sure Trump can come up with. But it should include Japan. It should include Israel. It should include South Korea and a handful of others of like-minded people who will beg and grovel and pay to get in.
Yeah, I'm just for individual treaties between them, and I don't need a umbrella organization.
You say that now, but when your back's against the wall, you may want that that larger group.
I might, but for now.
Okay, what if each group says we will pay $20 billion a year to get into your club, Huntley?
Into our club. We'll see.
Yeah, into your defense club. That's right. $20 billion annually to get in. Can't afford it, can't come in.
Okay. Well, you don't have to have an umbrella thing. You could still have that same arrangement.
Okay, but
you establish individual partnerships with companies, which can be severed. It could be severed at any point.
Wow, that's not nice. I mean, you can't kick them out. They paid to get in.
Well, that's my point. So did Turkey. What if Turkey?
No. But I'm saying they're not paying. That's what Trump kept saying.
I get it. And so what if they start paying? Okay, great.
I'm saying get rid of them already. Forget about having to hassle them to keep paying. They don't want to pay. They want their cake and they want to eat it too. Get rid of them. Get rid of France. You're on your own, big shot France. You're on your own.
We agree with all of that.
Germany, you're on your own. Good luck, Germany.
We agree with all of that. We agree.
Get rid of them.
First half, NATO gone. Boop. We agree on that.
All right, let's move on to the next story because we don't have all day. I got a Dodger game I got to watch.
Yeah, apparently. What's it I had? Oh, yeah. What? This is a fun story. This is a fun story. Christopher Rufo is doing some good work. And I think we talked about it before, but
I think we mentioned this, didn't we?
We did, but there's more. There's a follow-up.
All right.
Okay, so Christopher Rufo did the story about Kamala Harris's book in 2009 that she plagiarized, right?
Oh my God.
Well, the mainstream press, of course, said there's a little couple things here or there. It's not plagiarism. It's it's a blown up bullshit story. Here's our plagiarism expert and
It's me, Bobby, plagiarism.
It's all right. It's not really a big deal, right? Well, New York Times plagiarism consultant admits Kamala Harris scandal more serious than he had thought.
That's brilliant. Well, I mean, the guy she's working with or for.
That's what I said.
He was the king of plagiarism.
I agree, but here's my favorite part of the story, and I don't know if anybody picked it up. Their expert, the New York Times called, plagiarism is such a problem. This guy runs a site, Plagiarism Today.
That's the name of his site?
Yes, I kid you not.
That's
Plagiarism
hysterical.
Today is a site, but here's the best part of all. His site has been plagiarized.
Oh my God. That's hysterical.
I mean, you cannot. That's straight
what
from
the
the
reality of it is. She farmed out this book to a staff member who plagiarized it, who just said, "I'm not doing this for $5,000," and Wikipedia that shit and did whatever she had to do to get that book done by the deadline. This chick didn't sit down and write this book. Give me a break. She farmed it out to some staff member.
Oh yeah. I 100%. Speaking of staff members, though, apparently, and I sent you the X post earlier about it, or tweet, or whatever we call it nowadays. A staff member possibly, and I actually kind of believe this is true, simply because it really makes a lot of sense. Her campaign manager, or somebody who's working on her campaign, is who came up with the idea and said, "Hey, you can't do that whole Al Smith dinner because it is going to offend all of our pro-choice fans and all of our LGBTQ people."
It's a Catholic thing.
Yeah. And that actually makes a lot
of
sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
So here's what came out today. Major drama within the Kamala Harris campaign this morning. A source reveals that Harris screamed at and angrily berated her campaign manager, Julie Chavez, for over 30 minutes on the phone this morning. The source shares that Chavez advised Kamala not to attend the Al Smith dinner because it could send the wrong message and risk alienating LGBTQ and pro-abortion voters if she is seen cozying up to the Catholics. Instead, Chavez suggested a compromise of sending in the poorly received video in lieu of an in-person appearance. Chavez was in tears during the phone call. Kamala shredded her to pieces, calling her an idiot, inept, horrible at your fucking job, and told her that her stupid advice is going to be the reason she loses.
Well, I mean, put it this way, this chick's going to be out of work in a couple of weeks anyway when the campaign ends. So Chavez, if she's related to Cesar Chavez, I don't know. She probably is, based on this campaign. It's probably his granddaughter or something, the boycott lettuce dude. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But nevertheless, I mean, she has been known to go off on staff members.
Oh yeah. Well, but wouldn't that be typical too? It's like, I don't care if Chavez told her to do it or not.
Yeah,
she did it. She made the call. She's the freaking boss. Do you think that Trump listens to half the things that people tell him to do? No. And he owns it. It's like, if he screws up, then he screws up. It's on him.
Look at Whitmer taking the body of Christ as a Dorito, and now she apologized.
That was the creepiest video.
Yeah, and she's apologized to the Catholic Church yesterday or today for mocking Catholicism. Don't they have Catholics up in Michigan? What the hell's going on up there?
Trump brought that up in his thing too.
Oh, good for him.
He said that Kamala is taking communion in Michigan.
Oh, that's a cheap shot.
Oh no, that thing was loaded.
Dude, he's obviously trying to get the Catholic vote in Pennsylvania. If he plays Ave Maria one more time, it's on his cell phone now. When you dial his cell phone, I mean, give me a break. I get it. You want the Catholic vote? Great.
Yeah, I think he's got it.
How do you get the Amish vote? I mean, he sent them DVDs of Witness. I don't think that's fair.
100%. You know what? And
100,000 DVDs mailed out by the Trump campaign. Apparently, just kidding. I'm kidding. There's a story breaking late today on Newsmax that Trump supporters are getting threatening letters in the mail in Pennsylvania telling them not to vote. This is not a joke. I'm just serious story. Apparently, I don't know the details though. I just saw it on the Chiron.
I don't know. I feel like you have to triple check every single damn story.
Well, I don't know what the extent of it was, but dude, everything's about Pennsylvania. Everything else that you describe, the other states are gravy. The big enchilada, to quote John Candy and JFK, is Pennsylvania. As Pennsylvania goes, so goes the nation. This term around.
I agree. Well, in order to double check all these stories and to verify them, etc., you got to get up and you have to have some energy. In order to do that, you need to get some coffee.
Oh, I think you're saying Peruvian marching powder. Oh, this is legal though, right? Unlike the other
it's 100% legal, and it is healthy and wise. AmericasUntoldStories.com/coffee.
And cheaper than the Peruvian product.
It is. And it's not Peruvian, it's Indonesian and Mexican.
Yeah, Mexican.
The Chiapas. It is fantastic coffee. The reviews, I've shown them before, are in, and they have been fantastic. And everybody really should consider checking it out. AmericasUntoldStories.com/coffee.
Mm-hmm. That pouch is about 12 inches, by the way. It's about a foot.
It's solid.
It's about 12 inches.
It makes I do like 3 small scoops for a pot of 10 cups, and this bag lasts me about 2 weeks. For every day. It's a fair amount. It's very reasonable, and it's really good. You save money on creamer. You don't need creamer. I mean, maybe you do, but normally I need it. I don't need creamer for this. It's nice, rich, full, great blend. And I don't have to embellish it with anything. I could just enjoy straight coffee. And it's something I've never done before.
Embellishing it with words.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're embellishing the product by describing it.
Well, I thought that was just describing it. Embellishing is to exaggerate.
Well, no, I don't know if it's to exaggerate. It could be just to highlight or embellish. I don't think you have to exaggerate it. I mean, it's a good product.
Oh, I agree. And, don't take my word for it. I mean, seriously, try it. I really do believe in it. I don't just go harping about it. It actually has our name on it. It's not like I'm reading a script or something. We signed off on it, and we stand behind it. It's a great product. But we also stand behind our people who are showing support of the show, like Dick Dickerson, who came in and gave 20.
He wasn't here last week, was he? Was Dickerson here?
He was not. He's going to address that actually in the next.
I was wondering I thought he was assassinated, but you're saying that he's still alive.
He is still alive, and actually, sadly, he was unable to make last week because he had to close 2 of his businesses because of the economy, God. And he's not happy about it.
I'm not happy about that. Hang on until Trump gets in. Maybe they'll be revived.
I hope so. I mean, I really hope that there's an immediate snap back, market response to everything else.
Market response. Yeah, good point.
That'll help. And I do think his getting elected, because he's already acting like president right now, when you have Tim Cook calling him, when you have, Zelensky, everybody else lining up, trying to talk to him. As soon as he's president-elect, you're going to start to see the effect taking place.
Absolutely. I mean, Hitler called for the afterlife. He wanted to renegotiate the Treaty of Versailles. I mean, that's really saying something.
Dick Dickerson said, Como's YouTube, have me my full membership back.
Have me my full membership.
Oh, member for 22 months. Okay, well, it appears that he disappeared, remember, because he put all the time in, and he had a new membership, and now he's got the full membership. So that's excellent. Excellent.
The son of Angie Dickinson, the famous actress with Burt Reynolds that a lot of people
that one
liked in the 60s. Dick Dickinson's her son. He doesn't acknowledge it that much.
Angie's hot. She was hot as
Angie, with Burt Reynolds, remember? I think he married her at one point, didn't he?
I remember him with Lonnie.
Well, that was Dickinson. This is Dickerson.
I remember Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson. I don't remember
Lonnie Anderson. That was he was with a bunch of different women, Burt Reynolds.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't really follow his course. Pamela Clifton, happy Friday, guys. Yes, didn't Trump do great at the Al Smith evening? He looked great in his tux too. Yeah,
I may be wearing a tux for an election.
No, good for you. Speaking of the Al Smith dinner, that was a story that I had.
Happy Warrior, the Happy Warrior, Al Smith.
Yes, Happy Warrior, and I don't see it on my list. I know I had it. Anyway, Bobby Kennedy and Cheryl Hines showed up.
They looked a little tense, didn't they? There seemed to be a little tension between the two of them. I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know why she had to go, but I guess she didn't trust him running around New York at the Al Smith dinner. So maybe she hopped on a plane and said, "I'll be there. Don't try to stop me." And but she looked very tense. I'll put it that way. She was gripping his hand, and it was red, and yeah.
Well, hopefully things work out. And
keep in mind, because the girl that he was allegedly sexting with worked for New York Magazine, not LA Magazine. So he was in New York for this event. Who knows where she is? She obviously lives in New York.
Well, no, apparently she just showed up in LA.
Looking for him here, but he pulled a fast one and went to New York.
So maybe that's it.
Right.
And I don't know. Ginny's getting with it. That's Kamala's. It was cringe as F. What was up with the smelling the pits bit? I was like, WTF am I watching? I guess it was part of her routine from Saturday Night Live, but Molly Shannon is playing like this Catholic schoolgirl. I think she's 60 years old. And the bit, I think, is from back in the 90s. I don't remember how long ago that Catholic schoolgirl bit.
Put it this way, when SNL starts attacking you like they are Kamala Harris.
Oh, she's done.
What's that?
She's done. Yeah.
I don't know if she's done, but the ship has turned. The Queen Mary has turned around in the harbor.
Yeah, momentum is definitely happening.
Yeah.
It could change.
Because they don't want to be so out of touch where they become the laughing stock of a comedy show by not reading the tea leaves,
Well, you remember what happened when Hillary lost, right?
I don't remember.
One of the cast members did Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Oh, right.
And open
right,
and it was like
right.
That was
cringy. That was cringy.
Yeah, it's just this mournful thing. I'm like, okay. And maybe they got mocked hard enough on that they're saying, okay, we can't do that shit.
I was talking to Greg Budell on the show yesterday, the radio show out of Montgomery, Alabama, and he said that Twisters 2 didn't have a kiss because they want to make a Twisters 3 and have him continue to pursue her.
I thought of that.
I've never heard that. I
thought of that. It's possible, but it seems silly. I guess, like the TV series, Will They, Won't They? Will They, Won't They?
And then someone else pointed out the Pelican Brief which was Denzel and Julia Roberts not kissing, but that was racial and political, not trying to offend the southeastern market of the United States. That was done internally for racial reasons. This, I have no idea other than gender politics, but he suggested Twisters 3. I didn't understand.
That's possible.
That.
I mean,
By the way, I was watching X-Men 2 this morning, which I've never seen. And X-Men 2 is a prequel to X-Men, which was directed by Bryan Singer, who got gay Me Too'd, which is another story. But X-Men 2 takes place during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and a lot of JFK is in there.
Yeah,
did you know this? I've never seen
it.
I never saw it. I never saw it.
It's pretty good, if I recall.
Jennifer Lawrence is in it. It's really good. It's really good, and they intercut the Cuban Missile Crisis into X-Men 2.
Yeah, I remember, and it was really cool because the X-Men comic books came out in the 60s, and so they kind of were just going back to the roots, and that's something we could talk about. I'd be interested in.
You would?
A lot of movies I've noticed take place in the 80s and the 90s and stuff, and is that because it's easier to do suspense when they didn't have cell phones and
I don't know.
Smartphones and things like that, where you have to actually go find a phone, where people had to interact more with each other directly? And
the X-Men, the original X-Men, they were Jews who were brainiacs who came out of Auschwitz from a secret experiment, which Bryan Singer does depict in the first X-Men. He shows Auschwitz as a camp, and presumably this was like Mengele working on some of the people who were in there, because he shows the rainy Arbeit macht frei sign out of Auschwitz, and it's implied that they came out of a secret experiment and were brainiacs who end up in Westchester County in upstate New York in that mansion, and they were always depicted as being this looked down upon, ostracized group of brainiacs, Eric, which is another side bar storyline, because a lot of the comic book writers were Jewish.
Yeah, Stanley Lieberowitz was Stan Lee, Jack Kirby.
Well, what I'm saying is that Superman himself was an Ubermensch character created by the two Jewish writers who wrote Superman, created Superman in the Midwest, and Kal-El, obviously a reference to Israel and Hebrew language, the El family of his origin.
He's Moses.
Well, I don't know if he's Moses, but the point of
it's floating down the river instead of into space. But yeah, there's a definitely.
But I'm saying there's a lot of comic book stuff that is Jewish. That's all I wanted to tell you.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, not 100%, but some percent, maybe a couple of percent.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 100.
The top people in the names were Jewish, and it was in that. Yes, and it came out. Most of it came out of New York.
Well, not the other ones. The other one came out of Cleveland, because I remember being in the Cleveland airport, and they have an entire Superman museum in the airport there at Cleveland for the creation of Superman. Those guys were Cleveland Jews. I don't know what that means, but they were based in Cleveland.
True. I guess I'm thinking more about Marvel, but anyway. Jenny's going to ink her with it. We know why Kamala didn't go. Trump said she was in Michigan to take communion with Gretchen. That's what I was telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. David March. Got my vacation booked for Boca. Approved today.
All right. March of Time.
Him in Youngstown.
March of Time with David March. The March of Time.
Fantastic.
Some couples driving from Georgia on a bicycle, you said it's going to take them 2 weeks to get there. Is that what you told me?
We've got people coming from Hawaii.
They're flying in from for you fat bastards, and I mean that in Alabama. If you can't get from Montgomery, because there's people in the radio show who want to come to the event, including Greg. And they say Alabama. How far can Alabama be from Boca Raton? How far is that? I mean, isn't Alabama like next door?
Alabama's next to Georgia.
Well, no, on the bottom. What's on the bottom there is Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, right? On the very bottom.
If you go like that,
but I'm saying they have an ocean right below Alabama. There's a water.
Yes, if they go due south into the Gulf and then
and so does Florida.
So they get on the boat, go due south, and then head east. Yeah, okay.
You don't have to get on the boat. There's like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, down at the bottom. all sharing that gulf down there together.
This is true, but where we are is a bit further south too.
Who?
Anyway,
your family or?
Well,
Oh, where we
Boca.
are? You saying in Boca or?
Correct.
Okay.
It's getting a little bit further up, but it is, it's obviously doable. It's closer to Greg than it is to me, I believe.
That's right. Good point.
Well, maybe.
Maybe not.
Anyway, yeah, actually, I don't know. I'd have to measure it.
But
anyway,
you could drive there. You're not driving, or you are driving.
Yeah.
How
But
long
it brings
do you think
equipment.
you think it'll
Probably
take you?
12 hours or better.
Oh, 12 hours. Okay.
It'll be a haul.
Right.
Jenny's going to ink you with it. And Kamala tried to make it sound like the border bill would have saved the girls Bret asked about when it wasn't even a twinkle in her eye when they died. Oh, yeah.
Can I say something about this border? The border bill was 5 months ago. She makes it seem like this border bill was.
Well, there was one in
2021.
2021. He quoted.
What was that one? What was that one?
Well, it was an amnesty bill, essentially.
Oh, all right.
No,
what was the one from 6 months ago where they tried to?
It was a recent one. I don't remember.
That's the one I remember. Trump putting a phone call in saying, "Wait till I get in there."
Yeah. I mean, but even then, it's like, no, you're the leaders of the country. I mean, it shouldn't matter if he calls anybody. But the point is,
of course, it's absurd.
And she's just full of shit.
It may even be Jay Leno calling. What difference does it make? What if Jay Leno calls the Congress?
Right, and it doesn't even matter because they took away administrative actions that didn't need a bill.
Right. It was a presidential order that they did.
Exactly. And they were executive orders, and they just trashed them. There was 100% that, and that she's lying almost every other second.
Man, she is a piece of work. I got to tell you, this is scary. I mean, if Trump wasn't running and she was running, I mean, holy crap.
Agree.
Look what I found outside.
What?
In one of the little miniature, there are these little miniature library stands everywhere with.
It's not a great program.
Love the program. I got so much great stuff. I put stuff in there. I mean, but
yeah. So,
I mean, this was just found today.
Mm-hmm.
It said it's written. Some Democrat put it out. They said, "I can't take it anymore. I can't read this book. It's too well written. I'm done."
Well, I noticed you didn't pick up the DVD.
Which one? Oh my God, it's terrible. It's terrible. But then again, I mean, there's plenty of movies that I think are terrible that people might like. Don't use me. I mean, I've got my own sixth sense. When I see bad wigs, I flip out in a movie.
This is true.
And
Jenny's getting inky with it. Said, I made an AI song about the interview and posted it on Twitter, inspired by Shaggy. It wasn't me.
Go ahead, Jenny. Sing a little bit of it while we have you on the air. Sing a little bit. Come on.
Boo boo, bing bang.
Never going to change. Never federal law. We're not allowed to move. Frozen in time, my friend, until Trump gets elected. Cannot change the 116, no matter what happens.
All right. For those who are listening, how are you guys still at 116,000 subscriptions? Pew Pew and Dickerson have paid for more than that alone.
Oh, all right. Eric, explain that to the person. That's not a membership. A subscription is different.
No, those aren't. Those are members.
It's two different things. It's two different things.
Right. But it is still kind of a funny one that they've contributed.
How long should we be at 116? Like, what is the international record for being frozen in time by YouTube of not moving forward with any subscription whatsoever? Like, no people, even if there was 30,000 people who immigrated illegally into the United States and subscribed to our channel, how would YouTube stop them?
I don't know. They probably have a better border policy.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would say, sorry, you are not officially allowed to subscribe to the channel, and we would be stymied again.
Once again.
So yeah, we're getting there. We're at 116,693.
Well, 3 were just arrested, so maybe 93 were arrested for pandering. So it may go back down.
That's true. Well, we dropped like 11 on the last episode. So.
Right, 11. People just couldn't take it anymore.
Apparently.
11 Democrats showed up. They thought they'd get a fair shake. They didn't.
Oh, I've seen that in the comments. Yeah, absolutely. We've got some famous ones now. It's like, wait a minute, I can't trust anything you said now. You don't love Kamala,
right? I mean, there are some weird people out there watching the show. And you get this a lot. You both seem so smart. How is it possible? And then it comes and fills in the blank. You're both so smart. And finally, one of them I responded to last week, and I said, again, he starts off the same thing. You and Hundley seem so smart about JFK and all this other stuff. How is it possible that you could support Trump? And I said, we are aligned with Bret Weinstein, RFK Jr., Vivek, Nicole Shanahan, what's her name out of Hawaii, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and others. You're aligned with a brain dead president and a liar from India. It might be you. It may not be us, because they never point out the allies surrounding the man. Who are the allies surrounding this dynamic duo that's currently in the White House? Chuck Schumer, Rob Reiner. I mean, what allies does this guy have?
The funny thing is that question that they ask.
Yeah.
I literally just say, yes, ask yourself that exact same question.
That's one way to answer it. That's one way.
I mean, it literally is. It's like, you literally in your question.
Yeah.
I'll stick with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. JS. I would tell you the score, but then I'd have to get off my fat ass to look it up.
Thank you.
Nope.
Thank you.
Happy
Don't
weekend.
tell me. Don't tell me.
Oswald would have been 85 today.
Okay. He could have been alive if he didn't get a bullet in his stomach. Somebody, I don't know, some old episode or something. I think we said off the cuff that, remember Nixon said, I know that man, when he was watching on television about Jack Ruby.
He was not clearly visible at the time.
To any man on the earth, that how could Nixon have known this was Jack Ruby? Because it's so funny because the guy says that no TV footage showed his face. And I'm going like, have you seen all the TV footage of every market everywhere in the country? Of course not. And secondly, Nixon may have had other sources other than CBS News. And thirdly, one of the cops yelled out, Jack, you son of a bitch, which was live on television. This referring to somebody in the comment section who found it impossible that Nixon would identify Jack Ruby on TV. As Nixon claimed to Roger Stone that he did. Now, you can dispute it. I'm merely saying what Nixon said to Roger Stone. But even the question is preposterous because
we don't know at what point he said it too.
Yeah, I know. Of course.
This gentleman, Jack Ruby, is taken into custody.
Right.
Jack Ruby, I know that guy. I mean, it could have been right there.
This Spectrum-y guy just implied that Nixon said it the moment he shot him. That's in his mind. That's in his mind. That's not what we were implying at all. It's just that Nixon told Roger Stone, I know that guy, Jack Ruby, who shot him at some point during the coverage that weekend. That being said, this is 1963, and who knows how far that went. But in fact, it was true. Because Nixon had Jack Ruby on his subcommittee as a snitch back in the 1950s. So, I mean, the proof's in the pudding, my friend.
Yeah, and he probably knew it pretty well because the snitch would be going back and forth. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of, actually, there was a side story for that's wild. I was talking to one of our audience members or whatever who's into drones. He asked me, hey, what drone do you have? Do you want to get it? Anyway, fast story forward, he has an older drone that's high level, and he's like, well, I could get that one repaired. It's only a couple $100. I'm like, yeah, you should do that. It's a good drone.
Yeah.
Well, he just sent me something last night saying, hey, I was wondering why the guy wouldn't return my email that I was going to get the drone repair. And he sent me a link, the article. The guy had been busted in an operation by the state authorities or the FBI. They were dropping contraband into prisons.
Oh my God.
Because
not that
that's
again.
why I didn't check my email.
Oh my God.
It was like, holy cow.
That's been done before, that
I know, but it's hilarious because where I live, in Hampton, and nearby there's a city jail. And I was looking in when I start up my drone, every time it says, there's a restricted area nearby. I'm like, what? And I look down, I was like,
prison.
Oh, the jail. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense that, you don't want the drone to, fly there. But I thought that, they were blocked or something. Well, apparently a guy who repairs drones, maybe he knows how to take out the block for that.
Oh, right. Good point.
I don't know.
Good point.
But
yeah.
I was like, that is a crazy.
Well, not to be confused with the head of Hamas who was trying to hit the drone with a stick moments before he was eliminated, right?
Yeah, it was kind of a half-ass, like almost like a futile. I have a feeling he was like, oh shit.
Can a drone fly into an open window of a hotel room?
If it's open, sure.
And then look around and then have a missile strike happen?
Well, the drone is like a recon. They fly that in and they say, he's there, fire. I mean, because who gives a shit about the drone?
Did you hear about this drone attack on a military base out west? That these drones, they had a swarm of 200 drones this week that were over a military base, our military base. This was a story I heard. I don't know.
That wasn't west. That was actually here at Langley. I think I posted on Locals that they had a mystery drone. It wasn't an attack. It was just they don't know where they had.
Swarm. It was a swarm. Yeah, not an attack. But is that an attack if they swarm a base?
It's peculiar.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And then the reason why I'm going to say I don't know is that here in Hampton, normally they have fireworks every year, but the 4th of July this year, they had a drone show.
Interesting.
And the drone show involved, just piles of, tons of drones that would light up. They made shapes like the American flag waving. It's very cool.
Wow.
Oh, no, it's awesome to look at. And my question is, and I don't know for sure, where are you going to have all those drones together? Unless you're doing something like that. I've seen something like that here. Langley Air Force Base is here. Is it possible that they might have been doing some sort of practice and it could have been confusion? I don't know.
They have the stealth 2 or 3 stealth bombers fly over Dodger Stadium at the beginning of a playoff series. Nobody could see them, but you can hear the shaking of the houses.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
That was a joke, but you could just see the pilots. You didn't really see the stealth bombers. It was just 2 pilots sitting up there in a cockpit.
Okay.
I'm working here all week, folks. You can just come on by, tip your waitress.
All right. Scott Bimbo said, I worked with a boat anchor couple's son when that all went down. Crazy.
What? Oh, my God. That's crazy. You got to tell us when you get to Boca.
Oh, we saw him in California, in Brea. I get them mixed up. It's Boca, Brea. We like the 4-letter B words.
Boca Brea.
Russ's Android, DD 524001, lethal force authorized.
Thank you. There it is.
Confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated.
This is what I was referring to, Eric. And this is apparently triggered by the intelligence services that invoke this.
But the fact is DOD makes me think Army, and
it's not invoked by them. That's what I'm saying. The response is by them, but the invocation comes from the intelligence services. That's why this is different. This is not them getting off their fat asses on their own.
I would have to read more. I'm not going to.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm just saying that. In the meantime, I'm saying this, and then your response is, I'm going to have to read more on my own.
Oh yeah, because I just don't know.
I know. I'm just telling you what I know. I don't know, but that's
Sean Lucan was a member for a month, and also contributed 10 memberships himself. So thank you. So not only member, he's given many more memberships as well.
Doesn't affect our subscription level though, right? The subscriber thing. Well, there's also Super Thanks, which is a separate.
Super thanks, super chats, which we're doing now.
Superman, the Jewish Ubermensch, as we mentioned before.
Yes.
Kal-El from the planet Krypton.
Everything's super.
Jor-El, his father. Mon-El,
yes.
Don't forget Mon-El, his first cousin, who lived in the bottled city of Kandor. It was shrunken by Brainiac 5 with the incredible shrinking ray. That had a red sun, and when Superman visited Mon-El in the bottled city of Kandor, he would shrink down and not have superpowers. And Kandor was a part of Krypton that blew off as a meteorite, Eric, and ended up shrunken by, if I remember this correctly, Brainiac 5 into a bottle, which Superman kept in the Fortress of Solitude up north in his fortress. And he was able to use the incredible shrinking ray on occasion when he was lonely to go visit his countrymen or countrymen, but what is it called when you come from the same planet? Planet men, but without superpowers. But Mon-El, interesting take on Mon-El. Mon-El was not allergic to kryptonite, it was lead. And on occasion, lead shielded, not on occasion, all the time, lead shielded Superman from kryptonite, but lead was kryptonite to Mon-El, his first cousin.
Okay, well, I didn't.
Little Superman.
Some trivia.
Well, Superman trivia for you. People who know what I'm talking about. So
I'm sure.
If I'm wrong, please tell me, because I think I got that right.
You definitely know more than I do on that.
I know a lot of stuff about a few things and a little about nothing, and some things I don't know anything about, but I know about that. So I'm just putting it out there.
All right, on Rumble, Freddie65 with a $10 Rumble rant said, I don't know if this is it, but Barnes did a locals on Tuesday about Alien Enemy Act Directive 5240. I still don't understand it.
So okay, well, I don't understand this. Hunley's correct. I don't fully understand this either. Kidding Eric, but this sounds like a lot of people are upset about this coming 3 weeks before the election, this DOD thing.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know the details. Taytone said, will Mark be buying extra drinks if Trump flips blue states like Maine?
Listen to me, you fat bat. You buy your own drinks, you
New
fat
Mexico, or Virginia. Also,
no. You're lucky to get one drink out of me. Stop browbeating the witness. Just show up, get the free dinner. I mean, what's with these people? It's never enough, Eric.
Also should care if Trump wins Maine, because that nutcase SOS
I'm so tired.
will cry for weeks.
These people up in Maine are driving me nuts with their 3 electoral votes. If they keep talking like this, you're going to end up with 2 electoral votes, and then you'll have something to cry about.
Hey, Mark, come on, give them a break. They have to live with Stephen King.
You know, it's a funny thing about Stephen King. I was watching something yesterday. Maybe somebody who knows Stephen King could tell me. It's a guy who's fat, who just keeps eating, and he's losing weight. It's a Thinner. What is that?
It's a horror book that he wrote where a gypsy cursed this guy.
Okay, because I missed the beginning.
Yeah, it was a gypsy curse.
Right.
I don't remember why he did it or whatever, but he's a fat guy.
Right.
And then he got cursed by this gypsy, and then he just thinner, and he got emaciated, and I don't remember the outcome. Probably it was grim. I think.
Okay, but it was a Stephen King novel, right?
Yes, back when he was good.
Okay,
maybe slightly less crazy.
It looked like one of his earlier films.
Back in the 80s when he was on coke. He was a much better writer on drugs. Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm just saying this was an early Stephen King novel turned into a film, right? I mean,
yeah, it's an 80s, one of the 80s
film.
books.
The film itself, though, not the book. I'm talking about the film.
The film is probably 90s, 80s.
There's actors in there I've never seen in my life. We couldn't figure out.
I thought James Caan was in it.
James Caan was in this?
It
could very well be. I don't know. I didn't recognize James Caan. I don't know who played the guy.
He was the lead, I thought.
He was unrecognizable if it was James Caan.
Maybe I got the name wrong. Oh, I'm looking up.
James Caan from The Godfather?
I get the wrong.
I didn't recognize the guy. I mean, maybe he was in a fat suit.
Oh, okay. No. You're right. Joe Mantegna was in it.
It wasn't him.
Robert John Burke, and it is thinner.
Who is Robert John Burke? I've never seen this guy in my life.
1996.
Right, I've never seen this guy in my life.
Okay. Oh.
The movie was unwatchable. I just wanted to let you know. It was one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I think it was on Lifetime or something.
It was a wide release in the theaters back in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. With Robert James Burke?
Apparently. I mean, Stephen King had pulled a lot of sway back then. I mean, remember,
he pulled enough sway to get a guy could open his picture.
No, apparently not. He did decently at Shawshank Redemption, though.
Right, but that's got 2 major stars, Eric. I mean, those were big names. This doesn't have a guy. This was a guy in a fat suit.
I don't know. I do know that it was a wide release in the theater because coincidentally, no, I remember not seeing it because that was my first date with my wife.
And you didn't want to give a bad impression, or?
No, we were going to go out, but we got talking to each other so much we never actually went out to the movie.
Okay, well that saved you $8.
So it sticks.
Maybe $16 that saved you.
See, there you go. I watched it later. I just don't remember it that well. Let me see. Winston Smith, need to temper expectations. People still run around like it's run. People run around like it's won. Agree. It's still critical. Everybody needs to make sure they get out there and vote like it is. You're 20 points down in the fourth quarter, no matter what. Because I want him to win the popular vote.
That would help.
And that's very unlikely. So let's see if we can prove me wrong and he can win the popular vote. That would be amazing.
Prove Hundley wrong, and he'll buy you a free drink.
No.
Win the popular vote. Every vote over the popular vote, Hundley will buy a free drink. For every single vote that he beats, he could beat her by 30, Eric. You only have to buy 30 drinks. Or
you see, I'm not a genius at math, but there's going to be X number of people that buy 30 drinks for that number of people. No, I'm not crazy.
He could just eke it out by 30. It wouldn't be that bad. Hey, I've just got 7 battleground states to worry about.
That was your choice.
I did the math. I guess I wasn't very good at math.
I agree, Fletcher Boyd. Kamala is not a Mensa member. Just saying.
No, my brother is, though. I don't know if he pays his dues, but that seemed like a worthless organization. You sit around saying I'm smarter than you at the meeting. You know, I mean, how does that go? I think it's something like $10,000 a year, or I don't even know what it costs, but it's you have to be pretty smart to figure it out.
I guess. But the really smart ones don't keep paying it, right?
Like my brother, he didn't keep paying. I think he was a member for a year or something. I don't know.
Dustin Russell said, I've been in and around politics for over 20 years. There isn't a bigger dirtball move than berating staff. It's a disqualifying act, in my opinion. Oh, I agree.
Well, it's pretty common. I don't know how a dirtball move it is, but yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's so weird.
Question: who was Milhouse's head political strategist, and anything analogous between 1960 and 2024? We know Kennedy stole it, and Dick knew it. Well, Kennedy didn't steal it technically.
He didn't technically steal it because he still would have lost, even with Illinois.
Right.
He still would have lost the electoral college. But yeah, different people who advised him. But basically, he did his own homework, from what I understand.
Well, I think it's very difficult after 8 years for the same party to hold it.
What do you mean?
Well, it's unusual. For example, it was unusual for Bush to pick up after Reagan. He only could hold it for 4 years. Now, Ross Perot kind of screwed that up a little bit. But then again, we had Clinton for 8 years, and then what? It went to the Republican. So then it went to the Democrat for 8 years, and then it went to the Republican. A full 2 terms, people are kind of ready, and they want to try the other thing out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right,
I think,
right.
And I think that people, Eisenhower had a pretty successful 8 years, but Kennedy was the new, fresh, sexy thing. And with the television and everything else, it was difficult. Now, when Nixon won, what? You had Democrats.
Well, he had Murray Chotiner, who was his strategist, lawyer. Murray Chotiner was probably the guy who was his chief advisor, if you had to pick a guy. Roger Stone was a kid at the time, and John Dean obviously didn't give him very good advice. But I got the new book, The Nixon's Defense, where he admits, as Jeff Shepard has said, that the smoking gun tape was not a smoking gun at all, according to John Dean. And he was wrong about it, and admits it in a footnote on page 58 of the book or something. No, which I remember. As soon as I got it, I looked it up, and Jeff was right. There was,
but he admitted in a footnote, so not even in the main text, just kind of on the.
Well, it was on the same page. I mean, it was right. I'm saying it was right on that page where he went into a side story. It's not just a footnote with a.
Okay.
It was a footnote with a story kind of footnote.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty big, and he talks about how indeed, I think as Haldeman said in his book, that the secret they were trying to cover up was that there were Democratic donors who had given money that they didn't want their names revealed. And he admits this, John Dean, for the first time in this book, The Nixon Defense.
Which came out in, what, 2013 or something?
Pretty late. I mean, he's written a lot of books, but it's one of his later books. One of his later books.
Wow. L.E., The Final Metamorphosis. Kurt Swan, best Superman artist. Okay.
Kurt Swan. That I don't know. It must be a recent one.
Excitius, I locked our local cemetery gate, and now the Democrats are charging me with election.
That's funny. That's funny. That's pretty funny. Well,
Yeah.
it's like The Walking Dead. I mean, they just got to get to the polls and then back to the grave again. There was a thing called Glitch, which I recommend, Australian series on people who rise from the grave in this Australian town, and they're from different eras, and it's a very interesting series. They all from the same town, different ages. Some have been buried for a very short period of time, some for a very long period of time. And they pick up where they left off in this modern Australian town, little town, but fascinating. Turns out there's some scientific experiment going on that I won't get into.
Well, in the theme of what he says, it's not exactly the same, but it just made me think of it. You sent me this, and I thought it was funny. Heaven has immigration laws. Hell has open borders. No,
that's brilliant. We used to have
dead on.
We used to have a segment in National Lampoon called True Signs. And people who were fans, National Lampoon, would mail us in photos of signs like this. And we would do this. But we'd have like about 12 on a page. And this reminded me of that.
Well, and this one's just brilliant on multiple levels, because you think of like California, all the sanctuary cities and what hellholes they are. And it's true. I mean, it's like, wow, whoever came up with that, it's like next level. Ginny's getting inky with it. The guy in thinner was driving while wife was hemming and causing him to hit the gypsy grandma. He gets a cure for the curse from the gypsies, and he tries to feed it to his wife, but his daughter eats it.
Dude,
Okay.
I missed the beginning of the movie, so that could have happened in the front.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I knew he had a curse, but
I didn't see the whole thing.
But
there were gypsies involved. I didn't see the gypsies. I don't think you could say gypsies anymore. I think YouTube banned gypsy. You have to say Roma.
I
can't say gypsy.
Which you just did 3 times.
Well, she said it. No, you read it. You read
I read it, but you
but I just remember that you can't say it. Gypsies. I think you're supposed to say Roma.
Hey, we got one.
If you
one
gypsy,
person subscribed.
If it's one gypsy, is it aroma?
I don't know. Are they Roman?
Aroma?
Oh, is it Roman?
No. Aroma? Did you smell that gypsy?
Aroma.
Did you smell that gypsy? No, it was aroma. See, this is how jokes are created, hon. I'm trying to teach you something.
I see. I get
You're
it.
killing me today.
Oh, well,
okay, what else you got over there in the hopper?
Well, we're heading to locals, man. Right?
Oh, okay. We got to get in the car and drive over to locals.
That's right.
Aroma, if aroma gets in the car.
Yeah, because the aroma is better.
I was forced to
locals.
watch Real Housewives of New York last night, so I'm not in a good mood. RONY, Real Housewives of New York, Roni, I think it's called. What a collection these women are. I mean, Salt Lake City I could watch, but this is some mess of women in New York. It's just like smushed together, every weird. I don't even know what ethnicity these people are. 2 of them are lesbians. They slept together. They're housewives. I don't know where they're housewives. They all seem to have money that's coming out of the kazoo with no source of income, Hunley. Very
This
disturbing.
is how you know that you can't 100% trust Mark's taste in.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I explore things, Eric, for cultural oddities. I'm not saying I like this. I like Naked and Afraid because and I like Vanderpump Rules. Those are the two top reality shows ever created. But Real Housewives, holy crap, is that a train wreck?
All right, well, we'll discuss Real Housewives of Locals.
Real Housewives on the Potomac is the DC version. I hate to see that one. I've never seen it.
Oof. All right.
They talk with their hands. There's a lot of this, and there's a lot of talking with their hands, just like Kamala Harris.
Great. But she would be Beverly Hills or San Francisco.
San Francisco, Real Housewives of she's not even a housewife.
I'm waiting for the trans members of Real Housewives.
There's one who looks trans. I thought she was, but I was informed that she's a real woman. Who's on Ozempic, who lost a lot of weight and has now gone public. And the other housewives are upset that she's on Ozempic and they're not.
We'll continue this discussion on Locals. See everybody there.
Yeah.